On the evening of June 13th, 1996, police in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, were called to an apartment building. A woman who lived in the building had spotted a bloodstain on the carpet in her daughter's bedroom, and said daughter was nowhere to be found. A suspect would later be tried and convicted for her murder. Cases of missing children are always sad, of course, but this one would also turn out to be more messy than usual. Let's talk about Crystal Dittmeyer. Crystal Gail Dittmeyer was born on April 26, 1984, to mom Tammy and dad Jeff, though Jeff Dittmeyer is only presumed to be her biological father. Not much is publicly known about Crystal's early life, but what we do know isn't good. From 1984 to 1991, 5 complaints about Crystal's home life were submitted to the Department of Human Services. These complaints included numerous allegations such as Crystal being choked, given enemas, not being taken to the doctor, being naked around adults, and being around naked adults. When she was 6, she was allegedly spotted walking around her house with a cigarette lighter while the adults who were supposed to be watching her were asleep. She's also believed to have started several fires in her neighborhood. No names or relationships to Crystal were released in any of these reports, and it's not clear how substantial they are. In early 1996, Crystal's mom, Tammy, married a registered nurse named Ben Crider. The couple would only be married for a few months before their lives were turned upside down. 12-year-old Crystal was last seen on the evening of June 13th, 1996, at the pool at her apartment complex. Her stepfather, Ben Crider, was supposed to be at a work seminar at Lake Eufaula, about 117 miles east. Crider would later claim he came home to an empty apartment, and that when his wife got home and noticed the blood on the carpet, she called the police. From day one of the investigation, Ben Crider was a suspect. The day after Crystal was last seen, detectives noticed bite marks on his arm and bruises on his shoulder. He claimed they were from changing the brakes in his wife's car, though I'm not sure how he expected to use that reasoning to explain bite marks. Police had the car examined by a mechanic, who said nothing on the brakes or changing the brakes would have caused the kind of marks that Ben Crider had. Crider told police that after arriving home from his seminar, he left the apartment again around 4:30 p.m. to take his work-issued vehicle back to the health department. Getting there and back should have taken him about 15 minutes, but he didn't return for another 2 hours. He also turned in a travel voucher at work with 100 more miles on it than he'd been authorized to drive. So where did he drive in those 2 hours and 100 miles, and what did he do? DNA found in Crider's work vehicle was consistent with Crystal's blood type. A blood-soaked towel was found in the apartment, along with the aforementioned blood on the carpet, and blood on the table, a pair of jeans, a bra, and a bedspread. A witness also reported that a pool of blood in the apartment had seeped through the floor. 2 weeks after Crystal was last seen, her 8-year-old half-brother came forward with new information. According to him, he'd gone inside his parents' bedroom when he heard them arguing. When he got inside, he saw Crystal on the bed, motionless with her legs out. Tammy Crider quickly whisked her son out of the room and took him shopping. When they got back, Crystal was gone. Tammy Crider denied her son's story, but because her husband was a suspect in Crystal's disappearance, the home was deemed unsafe for her 2 sons. They were taken into protective custody 2 weeks after Crystal went missing. Tammy and Ben Crider were already separated by this point and will go on to divorce later that year. Both of Crystal's parents took polygraphs. Her mother reportedly failed hers. Ben Crider initially agreed to take a polygraph, but later changed his mind. He also signed a waiver that said police could take a blood sample from him, but later stole the waiver out of a detective's back pocket. On May 13th, 1998, 2 years after Crystal was last seen, Ben Crider was arrested at his parents' house in Marion, Kentucky. When police knocked on the door and told him he was under arrest, he said okay and asked if he could put his shoes on. In March of 1999, Tammy Crider's 2 sons, now ages 9 and 10, were returned to her. She was now going by Tammy Austin. I don't know if she remarried, went back to her maiden name, or something else entirely. After her ex-husband was arrested, Tammy Austin testified against him at a preliminary hearing. She claimed he never helped look for Crystal and didn't seem too concerned about her disappearance. Crider went on trial for murder in 1999. Prosecutors said he got home from his business meeting and found Crystal taking a shower in the master bathroom, which was against his rules. He got angry and killed her, put her body in a garment bag, and disposed of it somewhere within a 50-mile radius. This number likely comes from the travel voucher he turned in with an extra 100 miles on it. The defense did something they often do in murder cases with no body. They claimed Crystal wasn't dead. According to them, Crider really did come home to an empty apartment and that Crystal presumably ran away. But the jury didn't believe them. Ben Crider was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. His conviction was overturned in 2001. A second trial in 2004 ended in a mistrial. Before his third trial was set to begin in 2005, he pled guilty to manslaughter in a plea deal. He claimed he hit Crystal in anger, but that he didn't mean to kill her. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but since he'd already served 9, he was released soon after this. In 2008, Ben Crider died at the age of 49. No official cause of death was released, but there were reports that it was a heart attack. He never revealed where Crystal's body was. His lawyer claimed he didn't know where she was and only pled guilty to get out of prison. So what happened to Crystal Dittmeyer? There aren't really any theories in this case. General consensus is that she really was killed by Ben Crider on June 13, 1996, and that her body was disposed of somewhere where it hasn't been found. But there has been a little bit of speculation. Several people on a Reddit thread concerning the case believe Crystal's mom was involved, or at least knows more than she's letting on. Some of them were surprised she'd never been charged in connection with Crystal's disappearance and murder. There has also been speculation that Ben Crider was sexually abusing Crystal and killed her to cover up a pregnancy that resulted from that abuse. Whatever happened, if Crystal Dittmeyer's body really is buried somewhere within a 50-mile radius of her old apartment, hopefully someone someday will be able to find her remains and give her family some answers. Crystal Gail Dittmeyer was 12 years old when she was last seen at the Pickwick Apartments in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, on the evening of June 13, 1996. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5 feet 4 inches tall and 113 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. She was last seen wearing a white shirt with a yin and yang design, blue jean shorts, and a yin and yang necklace. She is no longer believed to be alive, but would be 38 years old if she was.